And good evening and welcome to everybody. We're here for some good news, which is a celebration of those of us who are taking the academic path towards passing it forward. And I want to take just a brief second to thank a few people. Brian Gittens, you and your team do a great job every single day. We should acknowledge you every single day, all of you. But right now, let's thank you for the tireless work you do to promote diversity, equity, and inclusion at UAMS. We've had many successes in that arena, and you should proudly pat yourselves on the back, but we have much more work to do, and we know that with your able team that we will continue to make great strides. I certainly want to congratulate those who are being acknowledged today for the work that you have done to make UAMS a better place, and more importantly, to shepherd the next generation who will move healthcare forward in a way that reaches out to 3 million Arkansans, to everyone in our country, and to make sure that no one feels that they are ignored or underserved. And I certainly want to thank Dr. Reed for joining us today. We can't wait to learn from your experience and your wisdom, and for you to help us to establish a roadmap going forward for making UAMS a more welcoming and inclusive university. So thank you for the opportunity to kick this off. And Dr. Richard Davis, I kick it back over to you.
You're muted.
All right, there we go. Okay. Thank you, Dr. Patterson. I am so excited to be hosting our inaugural Faculty Mentoring Awards. And it's my distinct honor and privilege to introduce Dr. Joan Reed. I've known Dr. Reed for a few decades. I consider her to be a mentor, colleague, and friend. I happen to be a product of Harvard's pipeline programs and credit that experience with really setting my own career trajectory, along with mentorship, sponsorship, and coaching all along the way. I also want to publicly acknowledge Dr. Reed's graciousness in responding to my call and being here with us today, because we're a little bit late. So I'm going to give you a very abridged version of her accomplishments. She's Dean for Diversity and Community Partnership, Professor of Medicine at Harvard Medical School. She's Professor of Society, Human Development and Health at Harvard Chan School of Public Health. She has a lifelong passion for mentoring and supporting diversity in biosciences. She's responsible for the development and management of a comprehensive program that provides leadership, guidance, and support to promote the increased recruitment, retention, and advancement of underrepresented minority faculty. While at Harvard, Joan created more than 20 diversity and leadership-focused programs, including founding the Harvard Minority Faculty Development Program and the Biomedical Science Careers Program. Before joining Harvard, she served as the medical director of a Boston Community Health Center and worked as a pediatrician in community and academic health centers, juvenile prisons, and public schools. She's held many advisory roles, serving as the Harvard Health Services Advisory Committee on Minority Health and the Secretary's Advisory Committee to the Director of NIH. In 2020, she became an American Association for the Advancement of Science Fellow. Dr. Reed graduated from Brown University and Mount Sinai School of Medicine. She holds an MPH and a Master's of Science in Health Policy Management from Harvard Chan School and an MBA from Boston University. Very quickly, housekeeping. If you have any questions, please put them in the question and answer box, and we'll address them after her presentation as time permits. And so without any further ado, Dr. Reed. You're still on mute too, Joan.
Thank you for your kind words, Dr. Patterson. And thank you also, Dr. Bashard Davis, for inviting me to begin with and giving me this honor to be able to be your kickoff speaker for this award and taking this time to thank individuals for mentoring, something that's so critical to our organizations. You know, you started off talking about this sort of history, and we always talk about our pedigree and our journey to where we are today. And you mentioned some of the places in my journey, from college to medical school to my training and to where I am now at Harvard Medical School. But today is really not about the journey and the what and where I've been, but it's about the who. And the who have brought me to this dance. That in talking about mentoring and talking about relationships, it's the who really set the stage for who I am as an individual. And for me, I always begin my story with my deep roots and my family roots, who set my values and my sense of purpose and my direction. And it starts with deep Southern roots in South Carolina and Brickyard Plantation, and a family, and part of a family that moved from the South to New York, and my ending up in Massachusetts. And here you see an early Joan Reed with hair, which was much longer when I was in high school, but relationships, family relationships. You see my sorors and my sisters, my deltas, who were my sisters in college, but as you can see, this is not a college image, who remain friends and sisters as we matured. But relationships as I moved on to college, and the individuals and faculty who helped shape me as a professional, but all based in beginning with this family of the who brought me to the dance. And when I think about mentoring, I start in this place. I also think about mentoring in terms of this dance at different points in times as I've looked at my career and my journey to where I am today. And my needs are different across time. The kinds of experiences and exposures I had are different, from those early years to the college years, to the people who allowed me to explore when I was at Brown and try to figure out what path I was going to follow. Is it going to be medicine? Is it going to be basic science? To the dance and how I was trying to figure out how to navigate as a parent early on in my career, to becoming a professional and a faculty member and navigating the academic system. And then to this later point where I am in my career. And it's interesting as people talk about the journey and as they move through their career and they start to get older, it's a very different kind of picture sometime. And you see here somebody who's very energized. I feel energized. I feel energized by the times that we are in, trying times, difficult times, challenging times, but times for change. Times when we're having discussions that we haven't had before. Times when we're talking about how to increase diversity, how to bring about inclusion and belonging, how to open our spaces so that they are more welcoming. And for me, that is energizing. It's a time when we can create transformative change in our organization. But as I've moved through this, meeting different kinds of people as guides, different kinds of people as mentors and supporters and sponsors, different people at different points in time, multiple people at different points in time. And in addition to this variability and this change that occurs for me as I've gone through my career journey, it's also understanding that as I've done this, I bring multiple parts of myself to this journey. As I think about our mentors and the mentees, the individuals and the proteges that you work with, having multiple identities and coming to the stage with their different family histories, they're different, coming from different geographic locations, different kind of interests and educational backgrounds, values, preferences, all of that is coming to the table. And part of our job in our institutions is to help people achieve their potential, how they can bring their full and true selves to their work in achieving excellence. But in this navigation and in bringing these multiple selves, I come also as a Black woman, and a Black woman who has to navigate what we often talk about as the diversity taxes. The taxes and the barriers and the hurdles that are sometimes placed in our system that hinder advancement, oftentimes being the first and the only, and a sense of isolation or exclusion. Stereotype and stereotype threat, and this wondering sometimes, am I representing, or people think of me as representing my entire race, and is that burden on my shoulders? Being both hyper visible and invisible at the same time. What we talk about is microaggressions and bias, and many of our institutions are doing training in microaggressions and unconscious bias. I'm going to say not all bias is unconscious. Sometimes it's very much conscious, but sometimes those microaggressions, or what we're talking about as microaggressions, don't feel so micro when I'm the recipient of them. Expectations of service that oftentimes is not counted towards promotion, service that's oftentimes under-resourced. So navigating these different places as I'm moving through my academic career, and at the same time, navigating who I am as a person dealing with these kinds of issues, and needing individuals who can understand the challenges that I am facing as I try to move forward. This sense of sometimes feeling alienated or not sure that others believe me and believe the stories that I tell about what I go through, what it feels like to be in this space. Not feeling fully trusted, or not seeing images that look like me, or role models that look and sound like me or share my interests. How do we have mentors who can understand that and be able to support individuals who are different in multiple ways so that they can achieve their full potential? For me, there have been multiple individuals who have shown me how to dance and brought me through this dance. Multiple mentors, not based just on race, ethnicity, or gender. Mentors who've been white and Black, who've been older and younger, mentors who have been in pediatrics like myself, individuals who have shown me the possible, who have been pioneers and groundbreakers, individuals who opened doors and pushed me to think and go beyond what I thought I could do, individuals who've acted as protectors and guides, who've acted as sponsored and put my name forward when others didn't, individuals who could vouch for me and use their imprimatur and their legitimacy to help move me forward. Individuals who later told me they had no idea what I was talking about, but they believed in me and the possibility that I had to create change, and supported me anyway. These valuable individuals whose shoulders that so many of us stand on. But it's not just those great leaders, it's also those individuals and our peer mentors and our colleagues and what I call the dance partners, the individuals both inside and outside our organizations. I think of them, individuals such as Alvin Poussant, who I had the pleasure of working with for more than 30 years in leading diversity efforts, or my current dean, Dean Daly. Individuals outside of our organization, those in the academy, such as Juan Amador from AAMC, or Renee Payne, a very good friend who's joined me in a not-for-profit I founded and worked with me for more than 30 years. Individuals such as Althea that you see here, who was my assistant for more than 15 years. We do none of this alone. We dance with others in creating the space for change and whatever we're trying to accomplish. Having this amazing privilege of educating and training and leading and mentoring young professionals. And here you see fellows of the Commonwealth Fund Fellowship that I've trained over the years, now more than 150 individuals who are in leadership positions across the country, but who over time become my colleagues. And so you see Alden Landry, who started as a student and then as a fellow and now as an assistant dean at Harvard. And similarly, his wife, who started as a student and then a fellow and has advanced forward. These relationships change over time, but we do nothing alone. So as I think about this space, I think about the role models the people that you see that say it's possible, those advisors, those mentors who provide both career support and psychosocial support, but also the sponsors and the coaches. It's not just one point in our career, but throughout our career that we need these individuals to hold us up and push us forward, to provide us a space to look in the mirror, to see where we want to go, to find our own passion and our own direction, not to become mirrors of them, but to really understand and look and see for ourselves who we are and who we want to be. It's wonderful that you're having this celebration and taking the time to thank those individuals who provide this service. Ron David said, relationships are everything and all else is derivative. So when I think about this mentors and these multiple individuals at different points in our careers and different stages who have different roles, I don't think about how do you find the perfect person who will be with you for life. I think about how do we build developmental networks and mentor networks, individuals who can offer information, internal and external to our organization, who can help lead us through our professional development and show us the best practices and introduce us and help us to make the contacts. Individuals who provide feedback, not always the feedback that's positive, but the feedback that's needed, who will challenge us and push us to think beyond where we think we can go. Oftentimes, particularly for women, for people of color, for people who've come from marginalized populations and backgrounds, there are barriers and bars that have been set up for us in terms of dreaming about what we might accomplish and where we might go. And sometimes we ourselves hold ourselves back. What we need are those mentors who will push us forward and say, I believe you can do this. I will put your name forward. These powerful individuals who can provide the political support, who can save us from the sharks, who can also provide concrete resources. It's not always just words. Sometimes it's lab space. Sometimes it's funding. Sometimes it's a technician. Sometimes it's co-authorships, resources to help us be successful, who can influence and support us. Also personal support, our colleagues, family, friends. It's not only the individuals within our organizations, and oftentimes as we look at these relationships over time, that mentor becomes our colleague, becomes our friend, who can validate our work and recognize the broader meaning of work and our work and how it fits into the larger sphere of medicine or science or healthcare, who can remind us that it's about our work and what we're accomplishing in that space, but it's also more than that. It's about life balance and work-life balance, and how do we take care of our physical and mental and spiritual health, and how individuals who help us to be whole. In this space, as I'm talking about these relationships and the roles of these mentors and sponsors and coaches, there's also another side of it, and this reciprocity. I think for many of us who mentor others, that there is this belief that the individuals that we are mentoring will one day themselves become mentors. Another part of this is this expectation that those that we mentor also have responsibilities. When they're looking in the mirror, for them to start to enunciate their goals clearly, it's hard to help someone on their journey if they don't pick the direction that they want to take. To be willing for that, to have that self-reflection and to self-evaluate, to look at oneself critically and to say, and be honest, an honest self-appraisal. To seek advice whenever necessary, and I add here, and not necessary, not wait till the building is burning, but when there's some smoldering, to come and talk to us. To at all times be honest and to disclose frustrations and concerns, and that can be difficult, particularly as we mentor across difference and understanding, can I trust this person? Will they believe me when I tell them about my experiences? For us to work hard, to at all times strive for excellence, to be attentive to detail, to take the initiative, to not always wait. I think about one of my strongest mentors and role models, and to this day, always is looking out for me. And it's someone who, when I was in the School of Public Health and I'd gone to them because I wanted to I was working on a project and I needed help. And I remember telling them about it, and this world-renowned person in this space said, go off and do all of these things. I remember leaving his office and saying, he wasn't very helpful. He just told me to go do things, and went off and did everything that he said, but more. And I remember coming back to him, and what I hadn't known is he was testing me. And what he told me, and it's something I have retained, is he wanted to mentor and help those who were committed to their own careers and their own development. So he wanted to put out his time and his energy to help someone who was willing themselves to put out their time and energy. And more than 30 years later, this person is still a mentor for me. Mentees need to appreciate the resources and the time of the mentors, to listen, learn, and for me, to carry it forward, to lift others as they move forward in their careers. But what does that mean for the mentors also? Those of us who are in these precious positions that we can help those coming behind. It's to recognize potential. Not everyone comes preformed and ready-made. How do we recognize potential? And potential does not have to look like us. To have this growth mindset about ability that people can change and can grow when given opportunity and access. And we need to be actively engaged in recognizing individuals and helping to move them forward, build their confidence and their skills. Provide that critical feedback that I mentioned before, and provide growth assignments to help people understand that they can do more than they even think they can do, and help others in the environment, in the leadership, to see the potential and to see the ability that their mentees have. To provide real and tangible support and time, funding, training. But I think about our new faculty and our trainees. They need professional development. They need access to opportunities and networks. They need emotional support. We think about these past few years and the challenges. They need a sense of community, and how do we decrease the isolation and help people to understand that they don't have to be alone. They need institutional and political sponsorship. They need role models. They need safe spaces to be themselves. So what does that mean? That means that as mentors, we need to be able to assess the needs. We need to think in this sort of intersectional space, as I talked about the multiple identities that we're bringing to the table. When I come into the room and I'm talking to someone, I'm speaking to them as a pediatrician. I'm speaking to them as a pediatrician who has got a background in psychiatry, a pediatrician who does public policy and public health. But I'm also speaking to them as a Black woman who is dealing with the challenges that are embedded within our organizations, in our profession, but also in our society at large. We have different backgrounds and different journeys, and as mentors, we need to understand that. We need to provide programming that's both structured and unstructured, and understand that people have different paths that they're going to follow, not necessarily that of the mentor. And how do we help them to find their own path and their own journey? Let them into our networks. Share the knowledge, not with just the special ones that we select out of the group, and avoid assumptions about what someone's background or experience is telling you about their potential and their ability. Get feedback and sponsor. Share their achievements and accomplishments with others, particularly for me, important for those individuals who come from populations and groups that are marginalized. And how do we make sure others know of their abilities? Help them sidestep the stereotypes that people have about them, and also sidestep the ways in which they are oftentimes told not to self-promote. How can you, as their sponsor, promote them? Use your own legitimacy to let others know that this individual is worthy of advancement. Connect them, defend them, challenge the beliefs and attitudes of others about why they're there. For me, I'm still getting people who will sometimes say, well, of course, Joan's in that position. She's Black and she's a woman. Of course, she's in that role. It's the person who steps up and say, yes, she's a Black and a woman, but she's a Black woman with 5 degrees and 3 fellowships. And maybe she knows something else. Maybe she has something to offer. Challenge beliefs, challenge perceptions. You have the power to make a difference in the lives of others. As organizations, how do we establish cultures where their mentoring is an expectation? How do we lower the barriers to identifying mentors, and so that people make it easier for individuals to identify individuals across departments, across disciplines? How do we train mentors and mentees and not think that it just comes naturally? How do we put resources in to facilitate the process? Recognize those issues around diversity? Monitor our programs that we put in place. Are they not successful? Bring the same kind of evidence-based and study to our work in mentoring and diversity that we do in everything else that we do in medicine. And support mentors. Support mentors in terms of the awards, such as what you're doing now. And here you see images because our awards moved to the virtual space this year. But recognize mentoring on multiple levels. I see you're doing for clinical, and you're doing for research, and for women, and for diversity. We do it for individuals who are at different points in their careers. Provide financial support for mentors. It's taking time. And think about, how does this count in promotion? They're actually helping our organizations achieve their mission. So for those who are listening, I want you to think about your own dance. Where is it that you're headed? What is it you're trying to achieve? Think about your mentees. What is their dance? Where are they trying to head? And who have been those individuals who've taught you, have mentored you, have built relationships with you? And who are you actually mentoring? As I think about my own journey, I said I started with my family. And here you see me with my grandmother, the foundation for where I am today. But why do I dance and why do I do this? I started with my family, but I also think about the future. I think about, here you see images from my family and my grandchildren. The tomorrow. During this pandemic, and taking my grandson to a beach where he discovered hermit crabs. Am I watching him and his wonder at this life form, and that there was something for him to learn and to study? And here you see my granddaughter. We're walking through a parking lot. This is in North Carolina. This cloud formation that's beautiful. And I say something to her, and instead she says, take a picture. I'm holding the sky. And I think about our youth and their ability to see things that we can't see, but to also be the holders of our future. And this is my granddaughter at a Black Lives Matter march. I thank you to all of you and say congratulations to you who are the recipients of this award. You make such a difference to our organizations, to our faculty, to our trainees and our students. You make a difference to medicine. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Dr. Reed, for that very passionate, powerful message. And thank you for sharing your personal journey and all the people who influence you, the multiple dimensions that goes with mentorship and how we get to where we are. We have just a few minutes for questions. And so I'm going to turn it over to Sharanda Williams, who is our Assistant Dean for Diversity in College of Medicine, Kim Bland, and Renisha Ward, who's in our Division for Diversity, Equity, and Inclusion. So can you guys give us the first question for Dr. Reed?
Absolutely. The first question is from Joshua Baxter, and it's, whether in school, early career, or mid-career, what do we do when we reach out to superiors, whether of the same, similar, or differing ethno-racial groups, whom we would like as mentors? and who perhaps even initially present themselves as mentors to us, but who then cease to provide support or even respond? Do we call them out on their lack of support and response, or as subordinates, let it go and them go?
You know, I think it's an interesting question. And I would probably start in a space of a few things. One, in approaching someone to be a mentor, the word no is just a 2-letter word that means no, and move on. Okay. But also understand there may be reasons why someone is not able to mentor you. Mentors have lives, mentors have grants they have to get in, mentors have patients that they have to see, mentors have families that they have to take care of. And so sometimes they have other things on their plate. And so how do we present things in a way that acknowledge that and leave the door open to come back? Another part of this for me is understanding what you mean when you want someone to mentor you. So oftentimes we use the word mentor, or somebody will come and say, you know, let's say, Dr. B, will you be my mentor? And my next question is, what does that mean? What is it that you're asking of me? Sometimes what somebody is saying is, will you introduce me to someone? Sometimes it's, will you read this for me? Sometimes it's, can I shadow you? It's how do we start to understand that this is more nuanced? And for me, I will oftentimes tell the student or the person who's coming to me to take some time and to reflect on why it is you want me, what it is you want of me, and then let's have a discussion. And I go back to that. Remember, I talked about that early career person for me, who, when I went and asked him to be a mentor, he said, go off and do all this stuff. And I came back. And part of what he was saying to me is, you want me to take my time and my energy to help you. I want to know that you're going to take your time and energy too, to help yourself. And so I asked those kinds of questions. So a no isn't always a bad no. That what does someone mean by mentoring? And mentoring is a relationship. Relationships don't start overnight. I meet you tomorrow and I say hi to you. And somebody says, well, now I'm your mentor. It's like, I don't even know you. I don't know if we share values. I don't know if we share interests. I don't know if you have the skills and things that I need. I don't even know if I like you. And that takes time. It takes time to actually build a relationship. And as that happens, you will start to refine what you want from that person. So I have mentors that help me deal with being a single parent. And how do I do this balance of having this academic career and being a single parent? I have mentors that help me in this space with policy and as I was trying to build programs. I have mentors who help me with I have mentors who help me, how do I navigate this academic institution that I'm in? So multiple people doing different kinds of things at different points in my career. So for that younger person says, do I go up and do I talk to someone? Yes. I probably would not say, would you be my mentor? I'd probably have a conversation. I'd say, could I talk to you? I for whatever it is, I want to talk to you about your career, or I have these questions for you, and start in a space and let the relationship grow. This is separate from a formal mentoring program, but even in formal mentoring programs, I think we need to recognize that you're building a relationship and that takes time.
Okay. Dr. Reed, I have a question from one of our medical students. Good evening, Dr. Reed. How would you recommend those who are URM balanced, all that comes with diversity, text so that they do not become burnout? Thank you. But before you answer that question, I just want to let you know that someone in the Q&A, as they are listening to you, their eyes are filled with tears of gratitude to all my mentors. Thank you for UMS for everything it needed to move forward with joy, hope, and confidence.
I thank you for that. And thank you for taking the time as this program is going to thank mentors, because that's what this program is about. The diversity taxes, there's a few things for me. The first part is to name them. to me, is to name it. Because oftentimes as a person of color, you are placed in spaces and so much stuff is going on around you and you don't even understand it. You don't know why you're feeling tired. You don't know why you're feeling burdened. You don't know why you're feeling overwhelmed. And sometimes for me, it's just stopping, stepping back, looking and saying, okay, I get it. I get it. But that also means, how do I talk to other people? How do I talk to a Dr. Rashard Davis or talk to other people to say, let me tell you what I'm experiencing. What do you think might be going on here? How do I share this with other people? How do we learn a healthy way to start to say no? We're not the saviors of the world. The word no, again, I said no is not a bad word when someone says it to us, but we can also use that word no. We can't be on every committee. We can't be in every place. Right? There are organizational responsibilities. There's a responsibility for what the organization needs to do. I do not replace that. Okay. And so how do I name it? How do I understand? And this is just a medical student ask this, and a BIPOC medical student. How do we understand that we are in these places not because someone was kind to us? We're not in these places because we are a token. We are in these spaces because we belong, we did the work, we have the potential, we can contribute, we can be valued members of that organization. And part of the diversity taxes places us in a box that says all I am bringing is my Blackness, or the fact that I'm a woman. And I am Black, and I am a woman, and I am so much more also. And that's what I would say to the medical student. It's not your job to teach someone else about racism. It isn't. It's not your job to help them understand diversity. It's your job to be the best medical student you can be. It's your job to figure out where you want to go and how you take your career. What you can do within the organization is help the organization figure out how it can be better at being non-racist, and how the organization can better serve community and address issues of disparities. And so for me, this is a hold your head up high. You can say the word no. And I would say that's where you use your other mentors around you to help you to say no and to protect you as you say no. But you don't have to do it all. You do not have to take it all on.
Okay.
And then the last part I'd say to you is sometimes we're seeing things and saying, oh my gosh, but I want to change it now. You will change things in time. Change doesn't happen overnight. It happens in time. Change happens with others. You do not do it by yourself. You work with others and you create change with others. And stay the course, because one day you could be on this Zoom as the provost or the dean,
Yes.
or the department chair or the leader. And in those positions, you can change the policies and the practices and allocate the resources. You can make the difference in those spaces. So stay the course.
Thank you, Dr. Reed. Do you have time for maybe one more question? If not, we will move forward.
That was a very powerful message. I think we could probably end on that to be respectful of Dr. Reed's time. Thank you so much, Joan, for sharing your passion and experience with us. We'll move into presenting our awards. But I do want to ask you, because
I just want to say this, I want to say thank you and congratulations to the winners. I mean, just congratulations and thank you for all you do. Really, thank you.
and one last thing, there are additional questions. Is it okay to forward those to you?
You can forward those to me, but I already told you I have a healthy no. I can't tell you I'll answer them all.
Okay, respect. Okay, all right.
Bye-bye.
So I'll turn this over to Dr. Gittens.
Thank you, Gloria. How you doing? And again, I don't know if Dr. Reed's gone or not, but I do want to thank you so much for your thoughtful comments. I just want to say that publicly. Good evening. If you don't know, my name is Brian Gittens, and I serve as the Vice Chancellor for Diversity, Equity, Inclusion here at UMass. And while the Chancellor gave UDI lots of credit for doing this, it really is the yeoman's work done by Dr. Rashard Davis and the College of Medicine, Dr. Smythe and her leadership, and I think Odette Woods was a part of this, and the engagement committee, and Shamanda Williams and Kimberly Bland and the like. So thank you all for putting together this wonderful program. People ask me, how do I know when I've made it with regard to DDI? It's when things like this happen, kind of grassroots, and I have very little to do in it. I just provide general guidance for these things, and they happen because this work is so tough and complicated that I can't possibly control everything that's going on around it. And so I just kind of, provide some leadership and set some groundwork, and wonderful things happen. So thank you so much for making this happen. Steven Spielberg once said, "The delicate balance of mentoring someone is not creating in them your own image, but giving them the opportunity to create themselves." This evening, we celebrate outstanding mentors who selflessly allow others to pick their brains and to learn and lean on their wisdom. These mentors realize there's time to keep silent and a time to speak. So they bend their ears to listen to what is said and to what is unsaid. They know when to push their mentees and when to give their mentees the necessary space to push themselves. They make themselves available even when it's inconvenient to do so. And we've heard a lot about the tags and how challenging being a mentor can be. They realize the importance of pouring into others because they realize that others have poured into them. We received 43 nominations over 6 categories for our first annual Faculty Excellence in Mentoring Awards. I want to thank our judges who had the difficult task of rating each nominee based on the strength of the nomination submitted. Some of the metrics evaluated in selection of award recipients included time served as mentor, number of mentees served, publications authored or collaborative projects with mentees, diversity of mentor-mentee relationships, and demonstrated support of mentee success. Nominations were accepted for the following categories: Women Faculty Mentoring Excellence Award, Diversity Faculty Mentoring Excellence Award, Clinical Emerging Faculty Mentoring Excellence Award, Clinical Legend Faculty Mentoring Excellence Award, Research Emerging Faculty Mentoring Excellence Award, and Research Legend Faculty Mentoring Excellence Award. You see the common denominator there is Excellence Award, because we really did look for excellence with regard to mentoring. I have the distinct privilege of announcing the nominees and recipients of the Women Faculty Mentoring Excellence Award and the Diversity Faculty Mentoring Excellence Awards. Dr. Smythe, Dean of the College of Medicine, will then announce the nominees and recipients of the Clinical Emerging Faculty Mentoring Award and the Clinical Legend Faculty Mentoring Award. Following Dr. Smythe, Dr. McGahey, the Dean of the Graduate School, will announce the Research Emerging Faculty Mentoring Excellence Award and the Research Legend Faculty Mentoring Award. When she graduated from New York's Geneva College in 1849, Elizabeth Blackwell became the first woman in America to earn the MD degree. She supported medical education for women and helped many other women's careers. Here at UMS, women faculty trailblazers have made significant impacts in every area of our campus life, in our communities, in our state, in our nation, and in the world. Like Dr. Blackwell, they have mentored other women faculty to become the very best they can be. Although only one of these women is our award recipient, we celebrate all our women mentors. The nominees for Women Faculty Mentoring Award are Suzanne Leon, Sharika Robertson, Melissa Zelensky, Destiny Chow, Sarah Tarek, Jasna Vuk, Linda Lawson Pryor, and Gohar Adzar. The recipient for the Women's Faculty Mentoring Excellence Award is Dr. Melissa Zelensky. And I'll just read the short quote here. While I would certainly love to hold a job similar to Dr. Zelensky's, I would count myself a success to share the qualities and characteristics that make her a strong and supportive mentor. This is from our nomination package. She is kind, sincere, respectful, helpful, attentive to the growth areas of others, complimentary and confirming of mental strengths, encouraging and constantly attuned to the varying developmental needs of her mentees and lab members. She proactively seeks out opportunities to better prepare others for their futures while managing to balance her many roles and hats with grace. Congratulations again to Dr. Zielinski. All right, the Diversity Faculty Mentoring Award recognizes an outstanding faculty mentor who mentors URM students, trainees, postdoc, or faculty. Denzel Washington once said, "Show me a successful individual and I show you someone who's had a real positive influence in his or her life. I don't care what you do for a living. If you do it well, I'm sure there is someone cheering you on and showing you the way." A mentor. We celebrate those mentors who mentor URM students, trainees, and postdocs or faculty. Through their efforts, our healthcare workforce will continue to be more representative of our patient population. Our campus will become more inclusive. The nominees for Diversity Faculty Mentoring Excellence Award are Carla Brown, Jason Key, Billy Thomas, and Dr. Rhonda Henry Tillman. Congratulations to each of our nominees. The recipient for the Diversity Faculty Mentoring Excellence Award is Dr. Billy Thomas. And here's a little excerpt from his nomination package. On countless occasions, Dr. Thomas's soft-spoken, yet affirming and resolute presence has been a guiding light on my pathway to success in academic medicine. As is readily apparent from his CV, there are more than 70 people for which Dr. Thomas has served as mentor in an official capacity. It stands to reason that there's a multitude of others that he has unofficially mentored. I have no doubt they have benefited from his example and tutelage as much as I have. Congratulations again to Dr. Billy Thomas. And now I'd like to turn it over to Dr. Smythe to introduce the next category of awards.
Thank you very much, Dr. Gittens. It really is my pleasure to be able to introduce the Clinical Mentor Awards. Before I do that, I want to recognize those profound words from our speaker. I think that will resonate with all of us for quite a long time. And I want to give a special recognition to Dr. Richard Davis, who on very short notice pulled this off in just a spectacular manner. She was assisted by a host of individuals, some of whom I'll just call out: Sharanda Williams, Kim Bland, Odette Woods, Sheridan Richards, and others who have been working on putting this program together, collecting the nominations, and really allowing us to just have this wonderful celebration today of our mentoring across the university. It really, to me, is a fabulous, fabulous opportunity. I'm going to follow Dr. Gittens with a quote, one that I think is particularly meaningful today, from Maya Angelou, who said, "In order to be a mentor and an effective one, you must care. You don't have to know how many square miles are in Idaho, and you don't need to know what the chemical makeup is of blood or water. Know what you know, care about the person, care about what you know, and care about the person you're sharing it with." And today, I really think that what we're doing is recognizing the care that these mentors have displayed across the university, and in doing so, having such a profound impact on so many people. Before I go through the clinical awards, the last thing I would like to say is I send my sincere congratulations to everyone who is being recognized today. It really, truly is an honor, and thank you for all of your efforts to mentor the next generation. So on the screen, we have the Clinical Emerging Faculty Mentoring Excellence nominees, who are William Ventris, Laura Huffman, Lawrence Gritton, and Joanne Mack. And the winner of the Emerging Clinical Mentor for 2022 is Dr. Joanne Mack. And from her nomination, Dr. Mack pushed me to think critically about patients, encouraged me to take an active role in research, and advocated for me to pursue a challenging field. She has always encouraged me to push the boundaries in order to pursue my clinical goals and dreams. She truly embodies what it means to be a clinical mentor. Congratulations, Dr. Mack. And our next category is the Clinical Legend Faculty Mentoring Excellence Award. The nominees this year are David Beckton, Larry Johnson, Gregory Sneed, Robert Arrington, and Ronald Brimberry. And the winner of the 2022 Clinical Legend Mentor Award is Dr. Larry Johnson. In his nomination, quote, many of us became mentors to students, residents, and fellows as part of academic citizenship or an opportunity that comes along in their career. Only a few do it with passion, and Dr. Johnson is one of those few. Over the years, he has mentored many medical students, residents, fellows, and junior faculty to choose and grow in the career of their interest. He became a member for all the faculty members in our division at UAMS. His art of identifying our unrecognized talents always amazed me. He is a steady hand in leadership, a calming leader in a whirlwind of the ICU, and a thoughtful guide in clinics. Congratulations, Dr. Johnson. And I will now turn things over to Dr. McGee, the director of the graduate school, who will present the Research Mentoring Awards for 2022.
Thank you very much, Dr. Smythe. I hope everybody that's on was able to hear Dr. Reed. It was pretty inspiring. It was very inspiring. And in fact, I noticed one of the photos of her mentors was John Potts, Dr. John Potts, who was a mentor of mine many, many years ago when I was a postdoc. You know, mentoring is not something that's, you know, specific to the College of Medicine or the graduate school or the College of Pharmacy, or it's a UAMS wide thing that all of us, I would like to think that every single member of our faculty, one of the reasons they're here is because they want to pay it forward and they want to train the next generation. I know personally, I can't think of anything I've done in my entire career other than help those who are coming behind me, regardless of if it's something as trivial as just a piece of information or somebody you've wrapped your arms around for years and helping move them forward. And I really feel strongly that all of us ascribe to that, and it's one of the reasons we do what we do. I'm really, really pleased to be able to announce the winner of the Research Emerging Faculty Mentoring Excellence Award, as well as the nominees. The nominees for this are Taryn Swindle and Dong Zhang. And the winner for the Research Emerging Faculty Research Mentoring Award is Taryn Swindle. I will read. Congratulations, Taryn. Taryn has multiple facets that make her an outstanding mentor, but I can particularly speak to her qualities as a developer of passion and skill, her desire to open doors for others, and her influence as a successful role model. Taryn is actively engaged with the passions and interests of her team and provides us with the opportunities to invest in new skills and capacities, even when the payout from the investment is not immediate. Congratulations, Taryn. Next, we have the Research Legend Faculty Mentoring Excellence Awards. And the nominees for this are Nancy Rush, Jeff Curran, Taryn Swindle, I guess you could be emerging and a legend. Congratulations for it being nominated twice, Taryn. Stavros Manilagos, Priya Mendarata, Stacy Jones, Pearl McElfish, and Azar Gohar. And the winner for the Research Legend Faculty Mentoring Excellence Award is Jeff Curran. Congratulations, Jeff. Dr. Jeff Curran, an internationally renowned leader and founder in the field of implementation science, treats his mentees with kindness and patience, shares his expertise and network with the next generation of scientists, and plays drums on the weekend. The number of successes of his mentees are shadowed only by the authentic and high energy spirit that he brings to the mentoring relationship. I've got another couple of quotes here I'd like to just point out about Jeff as a Legend Faculty Mentoring and Excellence Award. And, I mentioned this is a UAMS wide thing, and all of us have primary appointments in one of the colleges, and many of us have appointments in other colleges in the graduate school. But I think it's important. One of the things I think unique with Jeff is that he has mentees in 4 of the colleges in the graduate school, which is really says a lot about him. And I would just like to close with a quote from one of his nominees. The label of legend is truly fitting. I can't think of a senior investigator on campus who has a more robust portfolio of longitudinal partnership with a diverse set of trainees or a greater record of mentee success. And one of my favorite, nor can I think of anyone I would rather share happy hour alongside. Congratulations, Jeff, and congratulations to all the nominees for all of our categories. And with that, I would like to turn it over to our provost, Dr. Stephanie Gardner.
Thank you, Bobby. I want to say how pleased I am tonight that mentorship is being celebrated at UAMS. When I think about mentorship, I'm reminded of the movie Finding Forrester. If you've seen it, you remember when a reclusive, prize-winning author is drawn reluctantly into mentorship of an aspiring young writer and high school student. And over the course of that movie, the hermit, William Forrester, emerges slowly from his shell as he finds out that he's more fulfilled by giving part of himself to the student, Jamal Wallace. I think that's what tonight really is all about. It's about celebrating the fact that mentorship truly starts with the heart, and that effective mentors find the greatest satisfaction is giving part of their life away to something that really matters, the growth and success of a colleague. UAMS has shown that it places mentorship as an important value in our Vision 2029 strategic plan. One of the things that we launched this past year was a formal faculty mentoring program, which is an initiative toward achieving the strategic objective of improving faculty and staff vitality. Tonight, I do want to close by, once again, I want to thank a few people to make sure we don't miss any. I want to recognize everybody that was involved in organizing this event in conjunction with National Thank Your Mentor Day. This includes Dr. Gloria Richard Davis, Dean Susan Smythe, Kimberly Bland Anderson, Sharonda Williams, Odette Woods, Chris Newman, Kaylee Sexton, Renisha Ward, Cherika Robertson, Sheridan Richards, and Lisa Weimer. Thanks so much to all of you. I also want to thank all the mentors and the mentees who joined us this evening. It's been a wonderful opportunity to reinforce the importance of mentorship. I'm confident that, like myself, everybody on this program tonight has benefited and continues to benefit from a great mentor or mentors. Congratulations to everyone who was honored tonight with awards, and thank you for your willingness to give a part of your life as an investment in the success of others. I wish you and your mentees continued growth and success. Thanks to everyone for joining us. Good night.